Thanks to its beautiful but also gritty art style, along with its compelling characters and world, Berserk has gone down to be one of the best mangas ever made, cementing its creator Kentaro Miura as one of the greatest mangakas in history. With its influence not just spamming other literary works but also games, I thought it'd be fun to recreate the story's main character Guts in a low-poly PS1 style, specifically in his iconic Berserker Armor. The process for this model was a bit different than my other attempts. I really wanted to get started on the texture since I wasn't 100% sure on the direction I'd take, so I decided to jump from making the mesh to painting the texture. As I was modeling, I stuck to this full body view of Guts as reference. In the beginning, I tried many styles, with one incorporating dithering, a way of blending colors together by dispersing the pixels in a certain pattern, and another being fully monochromatic with only black and white. In the end, I decided to go with a bit wider of a color palette, but still sticking to mainly grayscale colors. With this being a black suit of armor, really only highlighting was needed to be done. My process for applying the highlights started with making a gray outline, adding white to the corners, then adding a light gray around the white, and a dark gray around that. And in typical Grego fashion, I applied anti-aliasing to blend the colors more smoothly. For the eyes, I used a bright red as the foundation, with white as the interior to give it a glowing effect. Applying anti-aliasing on top of it helped give off this glowing effect even more. Some parts of the model incorporate transparent textures, such as the bottom part of the helmet, the horns, and the cape. As for Guts' iconic weapon, the Dragon Slayer, there's really not much to talk about in terms of its design. I mean, even Guts describes the weapon as a heap of raw iron. The texture incorporates some strong highlights with white and strong shadows with black, with only 2 tones in between. I added some noise around the edges to give it some roughness and what I assume is dried up apostle blood. The final model came out to be 550 triangles, including the armor and the sword, with the final texture dimensions being 192 by 160 pixels. I did a little post editing to the texture of the armor by applying a black overlay to emphasize the highlights even more. Now with both the main model and weapon done, it was time for me to set up my scene. I rigged up Guts and made some poses. For rigging up the cape, I divided it up into 3 sets of bones, right, middle, and left, with each containing a set of 3 bones. With this setup, I was able to give each animation some secondary motion. For the final render, I added a solitary rock pillar and perched Guts on top of it, along with a texture of a glowing moon that honestly turned out better than I could have ever imagined in the background. Finally adding some camera movement, we now had the final results. But first, let me thank my patrons on Patreon for the last time. Don't worry, it's nothing serious. Recently I've been exploring other projects in the background that hopefully will become videos at some point, but unfortunately at the moment it's just not possible to work on them and to be able to deliver a new model plus video each month. Also, I'd rather not scam anyone by charging them for a month without delivering at least one piece of content. With all that said, I'd like to thank Angel, Dreamcaster, Limpan, and Retro Modeler 64. I really appreciate the support you guys have given to this channel and my models, and hope you continue to watch the videos I have in store. Alright, now with that band-aid ripped off, here's Guts in his Berserker armor done in a low poly PS1 style.